thing I've noticed about bike packing is it's either really, really easy or really, really hard. There's no in between. I just ate it for the first time mountain biking. That hurt.
Gotta say, old Ryan Van Duzer made this look way, way easy.
If you're a beginner bike packer, this video is gonna cut out the painful learning curve that's going to occur when you start to take your camp gear and load up your bicycle with it. You're gonna wanna make sure that you listen to the last one because boy, oh boy, can this ruin your trip. So number one, bring a pair of gloves. Mornings are generally cold when you're camping in the mountains or you're at elevation, even in the summer. Now, with backpacking, that's fine. When you wake up, you're walking slow enough that you can put your hands in your pockets, but generally it just really doesn't get that cold where you actually maybe need gloves. When you're biking, on the other hand, especially if you have a giant descent that you're going down as soon as you wake up, your hands are going to get extremely cold, and obviously you need them for the handlebars. Bringing an extra pair of gloves is critical because it gets at least twice as cold because you're moving faster on a bike than obviously you are walking. There's a couple times on some different tours where I actually forgot my gloves, so I actually ended up just using my extra socks on my hands, which is totally something you could do if you're really going for that minimalist bike pack setup. Number two is thinking about buying some Toestrap pedals. I'm sure there's going to be a ton of people that are going to comment saying,
"But Chad, clipless pedals are the best. Why would anybody ride anything different?"
The thing for me with clipless pedals is that I didn't want to screw around with them when I was in the mountains doing a mountain bike trip. Especially when you're in places like the Sierra Nevada and you have to quickly hop off your bike. You really don't want to screw around with trying to wrench your feet off of clipless pedals. The other thing is I actually wanted to wear regular shoes when I was doing that because there's a lot of hike-a-bike that comes along with bike packing, and so you're gonna probably want to wear your regular hiking shoes or your trail runners. And so in that aspect, having clipless pedals just really didn't make sense for me. Now, on the other hand, having flat pedals is good, especially when you're in the mountains like that, but I think a really good in-between is actually having the Toestrap pedals, because as opposed to just having a flat pedal, the Toestrap pedals will actually give you some of the upstroke efficiency that a clipless pedal would, but also at the same time, it's way easier to get your feet in and out, especially when you're having to deal with a lot of different terrain features. Number three is bring little packets of chain lube. For whatever reason, I didn't know people actually made these, and so instead of actually bringing my entire bottle of chain lube, which is something I didn't want to do, I just lubed my chain before I went on my adventure and just hoped that it would last, until I ended up getting some from another person on the trail, which was great. So this is something that I'm always going to bring along, because usually by the end of these tours, especially if you're really pushing the miles, you're going to tell that your chain needs oil, and not giving it that love is really going to decrease its life and could give you a lot of other problems too.
Wow, no chain. Wow.
Number four is get tubeless tires just from the start. Now, tubeless is definitely an investment, but it gives you a lot of peace of mind, especially when you're miles and miles and miles away from an actual road or other places of civilization if you're on a trail. I couldn't tell you how many times I looked up a particular route. Everybody was always recommending tubeless tires because there was either goat heads that would puncture your regular tires, or there was massive amounts of sharp rocks that would puncture your tires. So I just eventually ended up doing it, and it's been a great investment so far. Absolutely zero flats. It's really hard to put a price on the peace of mind that self-sealant tires gives you. When you're mountain biking, one of the best things you can do is actually install different handlebar mounts so that you have different hand options when you are on a long tour. Instead of just being like this the entire ride, I installed some basically little wing handlebars that allowed me to actually grip it like this as well. And for me, I actually really liked gripping it like this, especially when I was having to do a hard climb. Little extra variations are great because you really don't want to be in one position for that long. That's why a lot of the gravel bikes have drop bars. So you have handles here, handles here. Where would the other one be? I forget where the other one is on a drop bar. But what I'm saying is that it gives you a lot of different options, because eventually your wrists and your hands are going to go to sleep. They're going to get sore. They're going to get painful just being in one position for so long. Now, the next thing is going to make sure that it doesn't rain on your next trip. And that is just simply by subscribing to this channel and liking this video. Thank you very much. Okay, next up is you 100% need bike shorts. I went into bikepacking as a total beginner, so I didn't really even know the value of bike shorts till I took my first overnighter, and my ass was beyond absolutely sore. And right away, not even before I was off the trip, I was ordering bike shorts. Now, regardless, even if you do have bike shorts, it is going to take basically your rump a little time to get used to the very thin seat. So allow that time. It's just something that will get better the more that you actually do ride your bike. Next is to lower your air pressure. Now, this sounds very counterintuitive to a lot of people, and especially to me as being a newbie to bike packing this year. But the reason you do this is because, especially for when you're doing a lot of climbs, you want to decrease the air pressure so your tire actually puts more surface area on the ground, and it allows you to get better grip as pedaling up a hill. It's also very, very good for pedaling and as sand and snow as well. What it really does is just increases your mass over a larger area so you can get through that sand a lot easier. What I like to do when I am bike packing is, instead of putting some of my camp gear in different dedicated bags, I will actually just take volet straps and then just wrap it around the handlebars instead of actually putting it in a bag and taking up space. So usually I'll do that with my tent in front and sometimes even my sleeping bag. Now, especially for the sleeping bag, you're gonna wanna make sure that it's waterproof. So I will usually take my Nyloflume pack liner from my backpack, put that over my sleeping bag, and then volet strap it down. And this is just to be able to haul more stuff without having to buy more bags to put that same thing in when you can just wrap it around your handlebars or somewhere else on your bike. So now, this one isn't something that I wish I would have known, but this is just a PSA to people that are filming, and that is that drones are absolutely awesome for bike packing because almost all of these areas you can actually fly your drone in, especially when you're backpacking. A lot of beautiful areas you can't because it's a wilderness area and it's illegal to fly a drone there, but most of the time when you're bike packing, you're free to fly your drone. I like to put it in like a little Gregory pack like this, put it in my pack that's on me while I'm riding, so it's not taking the extreme vibrations if I had it up front in the handlebar bag or something like that. Okay, and then we have the fabled peanut butter mud, which has taken many bikers out.
We just had to clean Julia's fenders off for quite a while. This is the worst mud I've ever seen. We're hoping it stops, but we've been going through a lot of it. Everything is mud right now. And there goes my chain.
Peanut butter mud is basically exactly how it sounds. This is stuff that essentially when it rains or there's moisture and you're going through it, you're gonna get it caked all over your bike. Now, this happened to me in Central Oregon and actually took two of the people that I met there absolutely out. They had to get a hitch back to their car. Now, how I remedied this was I actually got off my bike and started pushing it through some of the mud and tried to get it to where there wasn't that much mud, which is basically impossible. Probably it's gonna gum it up so bad that your chain is gonna pop off, which is actually what happened to me. I put it back on and I slowly just kept going. It's really futile to try and get the mud off. One of the worst things to do that I read was go and splash water on it once you get to a creek or something, because it actually just makes the mud even worse for whatever reason. So how I ended up getting past this, luckily, was I just kept pushing my bike very slow. I tried to put it in places that didn't have the mud, and then when I was on the descents was really when it started flying off. That was like the best thing for it, was going really fast on a descent. If you want to get monthly inspiration, tips that I'm not sharing on YouTube's or any other social channels, subscribe to my newsletter below, and we'll see you for the next adventure.